Okay, team, welcome to Monday night USA, Tuesday morning Australia, and morning time New Zealand. Or it might be just lunchtime New Zealand. Welcome to the call today, guys. I'm super excited to be here because we are at a very early stage of this carnosine revolution, and yeah, we want to hear more about it. So, if you are live, stick around. If you are watching the replay, always get back to the person that shared this with you. Firstly, I want to share a little bit about myself in case you have not ever seen me before. You should know a couple of things. My name is Rebecca White. I am a wife, I'm a mother, I am an entrepreneur for over 17 years, both in traditional business for 8 years and online business as well. So I've worked for myself over all that time, somehow managed to do this, right? I've done life coaching, kinesiologist, diploma in business management. I used to be a fitness and group instructor, so I'm really, I love all of that stuff. I love freedom. I love health. I love personal development. That is who I am, right? So I've been around. I have been at that top level before. So it's good to know this because you want to know what is different about this and why am I interested? And I'm going to share a little bit more about that. So the story of the product and the company is also extremely unique. And I want to share a little bit of that background for you because, I mean, we like the stories as well. This is Kevin Atkinson, and he is the CEO founder. He actually was an entrepreneur. He's over in Canada. He always used to buy IPs and sell them and things like that. And basically, one day he's seen this IP, this formula that was for sale for restless leg syndrome, created to treat restless leg syndrome. And that didn't necessarily tickle his fancy, but underneath it said buffers lactic acid or something around buffering the lactic acid. Now that piqued his interest. So he decided, I'm going to get some of this to trial. He got it sent over. He used it. He got some of his mates to use it in the ice hockey world, and they were blown away. And he rang them straight away and said, don't sell this to anyone else. Don't give out any more trials. I'm buying it. And he bought that formula. He bought the IP of that. Now, that was the start, not quite 20 years ago, quite some years ago, of this whole journey. And if anyone knows anything about starting a business or running any of this, you know that it can take some time. He took it to his lawyers, he took it to his people, and they said, there's a few things you can do here. One of the people that decided to jump in very early was this gentleman here, Eric Ferrer, who is a Stanley Cup champion who he's somebody who obviously knows what he's talking about when it comes to fitness, and he was a big ice hockey player over in Canada, I believe. So he started using it and recognized straight away he got his legs back. They were both very excited. He decided to jump in on this business and in on this company because he recognized they actually thought, wow, we've got the next Gatorade here. That was really exciting for them. So he had a competitive advantage. Now at that elite level, that's huge, right? And it was legal to use so because it's sports informed approved, right? It went into silent mode, locker room to locker room, while they decided with their legal team, how are they going to bring this to market? What's the best way? They looked at trademarking, but then everyone would just take their formula, they would just create their own, and that's what would happen, right? Which happens all the time in business. Or they could go down the patenting route, which can take decades and tens of millions of dollars. And that's what they decided to do. And hence why it's taken so long to really get out there to the masses. So they've gone down the patenting route. There's over 40 patents worldwide. It's taken decades and tens of millions of dollars. But whilst it's been doing that, it's been going from locker room to locker room, from elite athlete to elite athlete. Remember, at the start of this, they thought this was just an athletic product. Well, what happened along this time, they got lots of data, they got lots of people trialing it. They've had a lot of ups and downs, guys. This is what happens in business too. They've had people try to steal the formula. They've had things like that happen where it's gone like this, right? They've tried to bring it to market different ways. What they recognized was the best way to do this, because it is not just a sports product, it's actually a biomedical product. The best way to do this is actually through word of mouth, through peer to peer, right? So in this whole process, it's such a big drama, in fact, that they're actually doing a whole doco series. HBO or Netflix, one of them, I think it's HBO, are actually creating this right now. That's how big this story is. So I can't wait for that to come. Also, it's good to know this gentleman over here, the next one here I'm going to introduce you to, this is Chad Macias. He's been invited to speak about carnosine on the Joe Rogan podcast. So It's very, very small right now. Okay, maybe 6,500 maximum affiliates worldwide. We're at the very beginning stages worldwide. He won't go on that show until we've got everything worked out. Obviously, if you've been around, you know that there's been lots of updates and lots of changes, and they're still getting, the foundation set. But this gentleman here, this is Chad Macias, who again, while it was in that secret mode, he come across this from one of his MMA fighters. He is a molecular physiologist and he's a sports performance coach to some of the most elite athletes in the world, like Usain Bolt, Brittany Reese, MMA fighters, the Jamaican track team. Okay, so he's actually been around quite a bit. He come across this and said, "What is this? This must be illegal, right?" And then he checked in. It's not illegal. In fact, it's really amazing. He jumped into the company as well. He is now the chief science officer. So for someone at this caliber, with this type of reputation, to jump in and actually be part of this, we know this is just extraordinary, right? So he actually bring it to, helped them to bring the patterns up. So as a scientist, you have to have a lot of other things in there. Chad Macias, we have a lot of videos on Chad, and he's one of the reasons that I actually did join and start to share this. I was a bit like, oh, I'm not really sure. I wasn't using it properly, so I didn't necessarily feel a benefit yet. And then I seen a video from him and recognized, oh my goodness, everyone's going to be using this. This is a category creator. It's a dipeptide that everyone can use. It's safe, it's effective, it's just next level. So that's what really got me over the line as well. This story has been going on for almost 20 years and it is just the very beginning. So that's good to know. For those of you that are really new, you're probably wondering what is carnosine, like I was just a few months ago. And of course, when you can think back to when you were a child and you used to have fast recovery, muscle resilience, natural energy, play all day, get up the next day, play again, not be sore, not have to roll out of bed. The reason that was is because as children, we have large amounts of carnosine in our body. And as we age, it's like collagen, it depletes after time. Good to know this. So this is why we speak about carnosine at that level and carnosine levels, because it starts to drop around puberty, sometimes from 10 years old, it starts to drop. And of course, by the time you get to 40, you can see you've got, maybe 25% of the carnosine levels in your body. And this is why we start to get a lot of fatigue. We start to get the muscle aches. We start to get the things happening to our body. We don't have this natural dipeptide that's normally a natural thing in our body as much as we could have, right? Oxidative stress starts to come in. The aging process has well and truly set in, right? But carnosine is actually a really powerful dipeptide composed of beta-alanine and histamine, and there's over 3,500 scientific papers already on this. It is found natively in really high concentrations in our brain, in our muscles, in our organs. So it's like, okay, well, why haven't we heard of this? What if it's so good and they've got all these studies and, your scientists obviously understood that this could be very good because they were using it in trials with elite athletes many years ago as well, but taking it a different way. Why haven't we heard of this? Well, it comes down to what most things come down to in this day and age, and that's money. They weren't making any money from it. And the reason they're not making any money from it before was because it didn't have a great utilization rate. Like, you were lucky to get 5% absorbed into the body. You were taking lots of tablets, which I know a lot of oral supplements we do. Unfortunately, that is not the best way to be able to get things into our cells, okay? Especially carnosine. So again, they would get people on a 6 to 12 week prolonged loading phase to try and get the carnosine levels up, and you were lucky if you got 5% utilization of that. That does not equate to a lot of money because it's not really doing what it could do. The potential wasn't there. And that's why we are so excited, because what if you could go back in time, raise your carnosine levels up to where you were when you were a teenager, unbelievably, and then you could go back to feeling like you did when you were a teenager, 20 years younger, 30 years younger, restore that beautiful carnosine levels in your body with a youthful level, and unlock this amazing recovery again, amazing energy again, unlocking all of these things for yourself again, right? Imagine if you could go back to that. That's what we're speaking about, and that's why we get excited. There's a lot of science behind this. Now, I say this every week. I'm not a scientist. I'm a mum. I don't need to know all the science, but we've got it all there. In fact, if you want to know the science and you want the studies, go to thecarnosinelab.com or get to the person that sent this to you or watch the replay and we've got the studies we can share with you if that's something that you love to do, right? There's skin modeling studies, equine studies, human studies, independent, third-party human trials. It's just unbelievable. What the studies showed is that finally we're able to get through the derma, all right, all through the whole layers of skin. Now, the layers of skin are about 8 millimeters thick. You wouldn't think that, right? In certain areas, 8 millimeters. So to get to the subcutaneous tissue has been a big challenge for scientists for decades. We have the formula that finally does it, and they've got the science to prove it. Unbelievable, right? So they did all the studies, and they also did studies on the horses because, they're the elite athletes of the animal world. And they were able to do these biopsies and demonstrate a remarkable up to 100% increase in baseline carnosine levels. Get this, within 30 to 45 minutes. These other people for decades were taking all these tablets over a prolonged 12-week period to maybe get a tiny bit of what the carnosine could do. And now, with this topical delivery system, they could get this carnosine levels risen within that time. Unheard of, guys. This is absolutely amazing. And it was absolute proof that this topical delivery system universally works and bypasses that digestive barrier and goes straight to the tissue saturation. That's really huge. What they realized when they started to recognize it's not just a Gatorade, it's not just a sports product, it's for average everyday people, because they started to recognize that how good it is for the brain. Put it on the back of your neck, how it improves your cognitive function. They're doing a lot of tests right now. They're doing a lot of studies right now on this. Raising the carnosine levels in your brain can have an amazing impact for yourself in so many other ways. So you think about the neurodegenerative decline and being able to reverse that and being able to slow that down. That's huge, guys. The other thing that they realize is that it's actually a metabolic defense. It's a smart molecule. It goes to the organs that it's needed to go to. So it operates as a multifunctional protective molecule. So this is systemic, guys, and it goes straight to the organs that it needs to go to. One of the biggest things that I don't think we really understand, unless we are scientists or naturopaths or whatever we are there, we don't understand how stabilizing the blood glucose levels can actually help on so many other levels. So it improves insulin sensitivity, which is massive, and shields against chronic dysfunction in the heart, the kidneys, and the vascular system. So it's working on so many levels, guys, not just on the aches and pains on the outer that we're feeling, but on the inside as well. And its anti-aging properties is absolutely unreal. So we're talking about neurology, we're talking about metabolism, we're talking about anti-aging, performance, and feeling just amazing, feeling like you are 20 years younger or more. That's what we're talking about, guys, and that's why we get excited. So what I want to do, if there's anyone on the call that wants to share their stories, I want you to bring yourself off mute and bring yourself on camera and feel free to share. These are personal experiences only. Of course, we're not making any medical claims. We do not diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease, of course. But bring yourself on and share your story, and then we can do that as well. Who would like to go first? Don't be shy
I'm
now.
happy to go first.
Go, Debbie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie from Tauranga, New Zealand. I'm 59. I've been using carnosine since the end of March this year, and I absolutely love it. I regularly got neck and shoulder discomfort, and no more of that. And recently, actually 19 days ago, I had brain surgery. Had a growth in my left frontal, so it was affecting my speech, and I think a little bit when I get tired now or I need to do my carnosine, it shows up again. But my recovery has been absolutely amazing. I've been putting the gel directly on the wound now for about 7 days, and I mean my hair's growing quite quickly over it, but you know I don't even feel like I've had brain surgery. I just feel amazing, so I love it. And for anybody wanting to find out more, just try it.
Absolutely love it. Thanks, Debbie. I'm so glad your recovery is going so well.
Oh,
Um,
I am too.
it's incredible. I know,
Yeah.
Rosemary, you had a story as well as a nurse using this. I know you're a bit skeptical to start with. Do you want to share your story, if that's okay?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I was skeptical. Yeah, so I've been on it since you introduced me to it I don't even know what date that was, actually, Rebecca. So I'm a registered nurse in New South Wales, and I'm also a women's wellness coach. So yeah, I started using it because I actually had a major injury probably about 4.5 years ago in nursing. And that's when I started looking at all alternative stuff. And when I got introduced to this, when I actually had the injury, I actually couldn't walk. I was shuffling and I couldn't move. I did rip both shoulders. The patient grabbed me at the wrong angle, and I did my hip as well. So I was actually probably took me 2 years to start getting back to doing things. And then I've just gradually been working on it for the last 2 years. Being on Cardizine, I'm just blown away. I can't believe where I am. I'm actually back walking and back at the gym. So I've just had a month off and I've just been challenging myself doing some different hikes, doing 20K walks, no discomfort whatsoever. I don't even feel like I've done the walk, actually. Even a friend, she was like, "What are you up to?" And yeah, no, so I'm starting to share it. So I've shared it a little bit, but not as much as I could have because I really wanted to make sure. And I actually had a testimonial from one of the girls I shared it with. She was a bit skeptical. We nurses are a bit skeptical, I'm afraid, even though I'm very holistic. She gave it to a daughter who just had an operation and something to do with her hand. And I've given it to my daughter. She's helping her finger post-surgery, only 3 applications of the redness, inflammations visibly subsiding. And she said, "Get me another tube ASAP." So that's handy. I'm giving that to her tomorrow. So yeah, I'm blown away with it.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Rosemary. That's a great story. And I love it when yeah, skeptical people and nurses and things can get great results and share that. It's incredible. Who would like to go next? Feel free just to unmute yourself.
Go ahead.
I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, you're
Can
on.
you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can? My name's Chuck. I'm a retired law enforcement officer, which during that time I sustained a lot of injuries: knees, neck, back, fell through a floor of a house that had burned out, herniated disc, you name it. And then a couple of years ago, I took a bullet through the hand. And that's where I have used this the most, is I have really had a hard time moving this hand at all. But when I put this on and use it, it definitely within 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, I'm moving my hand, flexing, no problems at all. And I also got, the other thing I got is I got hereditary hemochromatosis, which, if you know anything about that, it just, all the iron overload kills your joints. So I've been using it since my wife, Jen, got it to me. And I've been, I got to tell you, I'm impressed. So, I mean, and, I've tried a lot of stuff to try and, to get, back to normal, and I still work. So I'm still climbing ladders every day and everything else. And I'll put this stuff on in the morning when I get out of bed and I go to work and I'm out doing my 20-year-old workers. So, I'm doing pretty good on it. I'm impressed. So
Awesome.
that's about what I got out of it.
Wow, you're the first person that I've heard testimony with using it on a bullet wound. So there you go. I'm sure it's helping the hand and
Yeah.
helping everywhere.
Yeah,
Incredible.
this thing, I tell you, it was stiff as can be before, but it's starting to loosen up a lot now.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Deborah, did you want to share
Sure.
yours?
Yeah, I find it very interesting. I've been on it for a few months now too, and with a maturing body, I'm finding I can feel it going through my body at different times, and it helps with bruising all the time. It's helped me to be able to walk again. It's helped my fingers where I had aches and pains in there. And it's helped with the clarity in my thinking and putting things together after a stroke 3 years ago. But it's the subtle things that, like the other things. I had a one of my girlfriends on here that was telling the other day how she went a month in Europe, overseas, flying on planes, and she was applying it to her legs, and there was no puffiness. How fantastic is that? Just for the everyday stuff, as well as the fantastic stuff, it's great. But just that ability to be able to do the things that we used to do when we were that little bit younger, like getting on a plane without having to put socks and all that sort of thing on. It's just mind-blowing to be able to walk up a hill without getting the pains and sharp pains in my legs anymore. It's the everyday things that we take for granted. For granted, I know Deb Sinclair was talking about being able to put her knickers on without having to hang on to the side of the bench. There's those fundamental little things that you don't realize how they really make our days so much nicer. And so it helps with how we feel as a human being moving forward when those things are actually allowing us to be involved in life again with a bit more ease.
Yeah. Life back in the years, not years in the life, right? You
Yeah.
want to be able to do all those things again. That's amazing. Well done.
Mm.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Incredible stories. There's so many stories. It's unreal. We do have to be careful sometimes how we share them because sometimes they seem so next level. We just have to make sure we're compliant. But it's just an unbelievable product. It's impacting on people's lives in such a way. So thank you so much. We'll continue on, but I can tell you it's not too much longer now. And I love this part because we're going to speak about carnosine being known as that longevity molecule. Now, as we do start to age, I am 45. I know that's not old, but as you start to get in the 30s and 40s and further on, you do start to recognize some things, right? In the 20s and in the teenage years, my 18-year-old son, he's like, nah, don't need that. I said, you can use it for the gym. Oh, I don't think I need it. But when he does use it, he does notice, right? When you're young, though, you think, no, you don't need it at all. When you start to get to our age, you realize this is really important. So this longevity molecule will change your life. It is so simple to use. You just put it on, clean and dry area. What I do is I put it on every single morning straight after my shower, top to toe. My skin is amazing. I never wake up stiff and sore anymore. I just get out of bed like I did when I was in my early 20s. Actually, my body is back when it was in the early 20s. I've had a lot of definition because I'm able to work out better. There's been so many benefits. It's unreal. There's 2 different protocols here. So you can apply it before a game, before a workout, before you're going to do some sort of exertion, about 30 to 45 minutes, right? It takes just that long and it will really raise those levels up. You can put it on after that class or that game and it will significantly reduce the delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS. Even gardening is a really good one to put it on. I usually get really bad hamstrings when I garden. That's really good to put it on before and after. You won't wake up with the sore hamstrings. If you are like me and you want to hack the longevity, and like a lot of us, as we are aging, you want it for longevity and maintenance, I recommend load it to start with 3 to 4 times a day for the first couple of weeks. Why do we want to do that? The more mature we are, the less carnosine in our body. So we want to load it back up so we can get it to a level where we had it back in our early 20s. So that if you load it up for the first 2 to 3 weeks, putting it on 3 to 4 times a day, you can't overdose on this, guys. Your body takes it and uses it where it's needed. So put it on face, neck, spine, underarms, lower back, everywhere, legs, everywhere, right? 3 to 4 times a day for the first couple of weeks. Then you taper it back. Now I only need it once a day. If I'm doing something really extra exertion, I already go to the gym 5 days a week and already do a lot of sports and softball and all that stuff. But that's all I usually need it for now, unless I'm doing extra work. And my levels are really high. How do I know this? Because I feel great. Okay, if you do have an acute issue, say you've rolled an ankle or you've done something that, is quite painful, maybe you've got a really bad knee, you can keep applying it to that area every hour. You can keep applying it to that area as much as you want until it subsides. Okay, guys, so it's important to understand this. Really easy to use, and it works every time if you use it properly. So that's why I like to go say, just try it. That is their slogan, and it is guaranteed. 30-day money-back guarantee. If you use this properly, you will get a result. Of course, we talked about the fact that this was in the athletic world long before we heard about it. These are all the people that are ambassadors that, they said this is a cheat code. This is before they realized this was a biomedical product for everyone. But it's really great to have these endorsements because, again, These people in the Olympics, etc., were the most drug tested, were the most, like, they had to go through everything. It's been through a couple of Olympics already, guys, right? And only the good people had it, right? They only knew about it, but they use it and it gave them the edge. Now it's for every single person. Of course, this was one of the little stories that we love to share. It was the NHL player's secret weapon for performance. They actually mandate it in the NHL locker rooms now, and they're doing the same contract at the NBA in the States. They're mandating it in the locker rooms. Why is that? They use so much of it. They love it. They use it before and after their games, before and after their what they're doing, and they recover so much better. Okay, so I mean, if they're using it and all their doctors and performance coaches and all the rest are using it, we know it's good for us. Okay, and it is now not just for the elite athletes; it's for everyone. We get to benefit from this as well. It is a category creator, and that's what gets me excited. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I cannot help myself. But when you have something that is so new to the market, no one else can ever take it to market because we own the patents. That's what we mean by a category creator. So carnosine as a dipeptide, now there's peptides everywhere. And in the next 5 to 10 years, they are going to be everywhere. It is the way that medicine is moving. But having it topical and having a carnosine topical, the way that this is, no one else will ever have it in the future ever again. We own the patents. It is blue ocean because, again, carnosine is such a different dipeptide than others. And it's no one else has this. You can't get it in other ways, right? You can try all the tablets and try that, but you're not going to get results. So it's a blue ocean category creating product. And of course, you can check all of the patterns out for yourself. In one of our new websites coming out, you can actually click on it and go through all the patterns as well, which is amazing. Because a lot of people say they have the patterns, but we really do have the patterns. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, I have to change this. It's actually 40 something worldwide patents. They're going for 50. And it legally barricades us for that topical delivery mechanism. So no one else can deliver carnosine as effectively as us, period. Okay, that's a big statement, and that's just the truth. Legally classifies us as a topical cosmetic. That's really huge because trying to get things into Australia, into Canada, into certain places is a nightmare, especially like, multivitamins and things that go through the digestive tract. It's just crazy. It costs tons of money and all of the rest. This actually bypasses a lot of it, and it's topical cosmetic. So easy to get through. Okay. So FDA GRAS generally recognized as safe already. Approved ingredients, Health Canada approved, Informed Sports approved. The only topical that is sports informed approved and actually able to use in, like I said, the Olympics and everything like that. In crazy, eh? Timing is everything. We've got, 15 years or so of all of this startup, but it's actually very much new. All the groundwork and laying all this has been absolutely phenomenal, really, when you think about it. We've been able to come in now at the end and being able to do this stuff. So debt-free company, just to know this stuff is really important. So we want to invite you to join our pre-launch team. It is very, very early days. Be part of this carnosine revolution at the very beginning. If you are live, you can stick on here and we can share more stories. If you're watching the replay, get back to the person that shared this with you. Thank you to all the people that shared their story on today. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to get this out, this replay out there. Amazing stories. And I love to hear how it's impacting and helping everyone on so many other levels. So I'm going to stop the recording, but stick around for the people that are here.